So Florida has three major programs. It has Citizens, which people are familiar with. It has the CAT Fund, which operates as a state-owned reinsurer, right? It's a state-run nonprofit reinsurer that many companies are essentially forced to pay into, but it does cover kind of the donut hole of reinsurance. And then finally, you have the Florida Insurance Guarantee Association. And so the disaster scenario of Florida is 2 major storms in a year that hit Tampa Bay or Miami, that cause multiple billions of dollars of damage, and that take down 2 or 3 companies with them. So here's what would happen. Citizens would run out of money and have to do emergency assessments. So the way that they do that is they go out to the bond market and they borrow $5 billion. Now, you don't have to pay that $5 billion all back at once. So they go to your bill and my bill and they assess it. The CAT Fund runs out of money. Now, this has never happened before, but this is the disaster scenario. The CAT Fund runs out of money. What does it do? It goes to the bond market, and then it can turn around and assess you and me on our policies. And FIGA runs out of money and turns around and can assess you and me on our policies. So there is a potential for us to pay 10, 12, 14% more every year if we have a disaster scenario on our home policies and our auto policies for years to come. Like it could be, a 10-year period if we have this kind of disaster scenario play
and if
out.
the storm is bad enough, maybe never catch up.
Yeah, right. Because you don't know what's going to happen next year, right? You could have a 1 in 50-year event followed by a 1 in 60-year event, followed by a wave after wave.
Well, it's also like we're not even talking about something like a what if. No, it's happened before.
Right. Well, we model for this.
We
right?
know that there's massive hurricanes on our radar that are going to be hitting in the next, maybe it's this season, maybe it's in 20 years. We have no idea, but it will happen.
Right.
I think it was when was the last storm, the bad one in Tampa? It was like 1921 or 1929. My grandfather told me there was water up to the Columbia restaurant store. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if that hit today?
Yeah.
And we've been lucky over the last few years. We were projected to have major storms hit here and just got lucky at the last second.
Look at Hurricane Ian, right? The one
it's
that went
a roll of the dice.
The one that went through Fort Myers had that hit Tampa Bay and pushed the water into Tampa Bay. I mean, who knows how it would play? It game over, right? Citizens would have had billions and billions of dollars of damage. The private insurance agency industry would have had billions of dollars of damage.
Why is it set up like a crapshoot? I mean, what's the origin of...
Part of it is this has been necessary, right? When the major companies pulled out, you had to, the state had to rely on the people that were willing to deploy capital into the state. That was what made it so bad was for the last 5 years, the insurance industry in Florida has lost $1 billion every single year. Last year was the first year a lot of the companies made money. Not all of them made money, but some of them really made money. That was why the one-way attorney's fees, the assignment of benefits, and frankly, we haven't talked about this, but citizens' rates became a real problem. Under Charlie Crist, they capped the amount of money that citizens could raise they could raise their rates every year. And so when companies were raising their rates 20, 30, 40% a year, Citizens was raising its rates 7% a year, 8% a year. Well, over years, what ended up happening is Citizens is now 50% cheaper in Tampa Bay and in Miami-Dade than your marketplace, your other insurers in the marketplace. So politically, what would you have to do? You would have to raise rates 100%, which is not going to happen politically to catch up, right? If you're 50% below, you've got to raise rates 100% to get back to par, kind of back to
and you're also going to write so many policies because it's the cheapest insurance.
Well, right. And agents are going to find ways to get their clients into Citizens if they can. Mm-hmm. And we know this happens. So despite the fact that, you're supposed to get 3 declination letters in order to get this, agents will find a way for some clients to get them into Citizens. And that creates its own set of challenges. And this is why Citizens has grown from 500,000 policies, a decade ago to 1.4 million policies today, or 1.3 million policies today.
What does it represent in terms of the total share of the insurance market?
About 15%, 16%.
Wow.
Of the total insured value. And, condo insurance, they're huge issue right now in Florida with this condo insurance after Surfside and everything else. Citizens is growing in that space. They don't want to grow in that, but they are, the one-way attorney fee statute, the Citizens is still, up until a couple of years ago, like 40% of all the claims that came into Citizens were litigated. Right. That with that much litigation going on. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been sued in your life or been a part of an organization that was sued one time. Imagine getting sued 900 times a month. That's what Citizens was getting. That's the kind of level of litigation that was going on in Florida.
If you enjoyed this clip, click here for the full episode and make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.